Mostyn, appreciate your time. It's always worth, I think, paying attention when you see disparate groups, for example, union and business leaders coming together from across the aisle to push a cause, and that's exactly what happened yesterday on calls for a more women-friendly budget. What does a women-friendly budget look like to you? What are the big-ticket items that you'd be hoping to see on budget night?
Well, I think you're right to say that when you see interesting coalitions of leaders coming together to advocate for a single purpose, it does attract attention, and importantly so. And even though we think about this, I guess in the public sense as an issue for the women's budget or women's issues, I think the reason we came together was that we could see across all of our disparate communities and quite different communities that actually a focus on the issues that block and present barriers to women's full participation in the economy is actually good for the economy, and just makes for a smart, effective budget that affects everyone in the community. So those kind of barriers that we have spoken about collectively go to the very well-known big structural barriers that step in the way of women pursuing their full potential in the workplace and having the opportunity to grow their income, grow their superannuation over time. And we know the things that block women in the workplace, and they are predominantly around inadequate and expensive childcare, a paid parental scheme that doesn't work for all, and then the feminised industries where there's been a tendency for much more precarious jobs, much more underemployment for women in those sectors that was already bad before COVID, but we're coming out of COVID with a very similar set of disadvantages for women in many sectors. So overall, what we look for as a group of leaders who are interested in the economy as a whole and benefits to a more prosperous Australia, particularly at this moment when there's an opportunity to invest, is to look at those things that we know block women's progress and opportunities, and to suggest to the Treasurer, the Prime Minister, all of those policymakers that this is just smart economics and smart budget measures. They have an immediate impact on women, but by having us in the economy, doing everything we can to have quality jobs and contributing to a vibrant economy, we actually ultimately affect a much faster return to a prosperous Australia.
The Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg, today has been laying out this plan to try and get unemployment to a number that has a 4 in front of it. How important is better financial assistance for childcare to reach that goal and increase workforce participation? And when you look at the best strategy, how confident are you that we will see annual caps on subsidies removed and the rebate increased?
I'll take that in two parts, Ashley, where we know that if we can solve for these big structural barriers to women's participation, that it immediately has an impact on our unemployment figures, and we've got to keep a sharp eye on that underemployment side of things for women. So the combination of having a strong unemployment figure, but keeping a very clear eye on the fact that more women are in underemployment, stitching together a lot of part-time work that's insecure, that's not good for the economy. So the things we've been advocating for really go to working to the Treasurers and all of our aim to have low unemployment in this country. And we know it has an immediate impact. You know, the work's been done by the Productivity Commission that says, as of today, there are 90,000 people across the country, highly educated, highly motivated people who want to work, who can't get to apply for jobs because they have a persistent issue with the availability and cost of childcare. That's almost 100,000 people who want to work that can't because of this barrier, and that's predominantly women, but it also affects men. So we're very confident that a focus on the childcare piece and the paid parental leave, together with some real focus on the industries where this has been most difficult, has a dramatic and very quick payback as an investment into the economy and a lower unemployment number. So as to confidence, I would really hope that the Treasurer and the task force that has looked at this from a women's security, economic security perspective, the Expenditure Review Committee, all of those parts of the budget system can see this less as an opportunity just to help women, but see it as one of the most effective investments that pays back almost immediately because we have more people in work, in secure work, and of course they become taxpayers, they earn more money, they contribute to the direct economy, and we take so much stress out of the lives of so many families for whom this is a persistent and very difficult issue when it comes to their desire to work more. So I guess we're hopeful. We would love to see all of the elements of the package that we agreed to yesterday and spoke about as a bit of a group looked at that. But we understand that reform is really for the long term, but some of these big, heavy lifting investments in those persistent barriers to women's participation, we'd say some of the smartest things you could do for the economy right now. And as we come out of COVID and there is an acceptance in the general community that this is the time to make smart investments, I don't think of this as a spend. I think this is a very smart investment in the future of our economy and society. And I think on behalf of all those women and men who would like to work a lot more and pursue their full potential to do the jobs they really want to do, to grow their incomes, to grow their superannuation balances, to be less pressure later in their life, as we see now with many, many more women actually ending up quite poor and impoverished at their end of their lives, becoming a cost to the economy. That's why we think this makes perfect sense, and we would love to see it as a big part of this budget.